And here we go. All right, let's just talk about which law would we use. So you basically have a choice. If you have a pair, we're going to use sine law, right? That is one way to put it. If it's side, 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 or side, angle, side, where the angle is sandwiched between the two sides, that's cosine law. So at the very beginning, the province will force you to use one or the other. Like you won't be able to do both, okay? Once you find stuff, then you can switch over. So this one right here, what would you use here? Side, 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 it's cosine law, right? So that's a good start. However, you still need to know what to do afterwards, right? So you've got cosine law. You have a choice which angle to solve for in this case, but normally you'll be asked to solve for a particular one. So let's say there is nothing, like it's like solve the whole thing. I've never seen that on an exam, by the way. They are specific. You should start with the largest angle if you have a choice. And in this case, this is 26, so I'm going to focus in and start with B. That angle I'm going to solve for. So you look at your study sheet, and you know that you're going to have to add two sides and subtract, right? And everything squared is at the top. So let's, this number right here is the most important one. You got to subtract it. And then the other two show up here. I'm not going to solve this. I'm just going to set it up. Because once you set it up, the rest is pretty easy. So then it's 2 times 18 times 24. So you just want to make sure you plug in everything the way it's supposed to, okay? Is this a negative at the top or no? I don't think so. You don't get a negative here, do you? Whoever tried it? You haven't tried? I don't think. But if you, that's the one thing you need to watch out with side, side, side. If you type this in, and I'll show you what I mean, right? 18 squared plus 24 squared minus 26 squared. If this value at the top, when you type it in, you get a negative, watch out, right? That means that it's an obtuse angle. You don't want to miss it. In this case, it isn't. I told you I wasn't going to do it, but here I am solving it, right? 2 times 18 times 24, 864. That's all good. You're not, the two equal signs are not, they're not an issue here. Okay. What's the next step? Angle B is cosine inverse of this, right? So 224 divided by 864, that's 0.259 something. Angle B is shift cosine of that, and it's 74.97. Round to 2 decimals just to make sure. Okay. If you want full marks, if you don't care, round all you want. But and then so you can check this on page 26. They put 75 down. We got 74.97. That's very close. Okay, that's close enough. You know you're doing things right. I see there's an obtuse angle here for A. So if you were to solve for A, that's 17, right? So it's across this one will give you an obtuse. So you're expecting a negative here. Okay, don't forget that, please. That's going to be very important for moving forward. So this one is the same. I'll leave this up to you here. Let's do a side angle side. This one right here, 4. Is there a pair? No pair to be had, right? Like there's nothing across from each other. You've got side, angle, side, right? This is cosine law. And there's the formula is different. When you do cosine law where it's an SAS, you're able to solve for this side. That's the only thing you can do. So you go A squared is equal to 30 squared plus 24 squared minus 2 times that 30 times the 24 times cosine of 130. And this is where if you don't have a calculator that allows you to type in everything, you're going to be in trouble. So let's do this. Get the calculator out of the way, right? 30 squared plus 24 squared minus 2 times 30 times 24 times cosine of 130 set to degrees, right? That's another thing you need to watch out for. 6,1 and something. You take the root of your answer, and that's 49.01, right? Because that 6 bumps that to a 1, and we are in feet, okay? So here you're solving for a side, and if you check on page 26, I'm just going to go quickly check. They have it rounded to 49, which is still very close enough for us. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you before we move on, I want you to try. Do you want me to do one more sine law? Let's do a sine law here. Let's do 8. 8 is the one that I think is probably out of all the sine law questions, that's the one that we're having the toughest time with. So question 8 on 24. You see the pair, right? You see it? I hope you do. That's a pair. I need to use sine law. Just like that. Okay? Just like that. So you set it up with your pair. That's what I suggest. And this 15, sorry, the 19, let's get this right, miles. And then it's going to be what? This 15 is paired up with angle C. That's right. So it's sine of angle C over 15 miles. Question. Do you expect C to be greater than or smaller than the 85? Smaller, right? Because look at the side lengths. This is 19. So if you have a shorter side, you expect a smaller angle. Look at how slow this thing is. Anyways. It's very slow, sluggish. Probably because it's Monday. So sine of C, you got to cross multiply and divide. Don't drop that just yet, okay? There we go. And let's get this as a decimal. I don't have the worked out key, so I'm doing this with you. There we go. 0.786. Do not round. If you do round, 4 decimals minimum. And then you go shift sine to get the inverse, and you get 51.86. That is your answer. I will just go check page 26, question 8. We got 51. They get 51.9. I got 51.86. Very close. We're doing pretty good. Okay. So there are still 2 more questions at the back. So how about we do this? I'll just tell you which ones I would like you to try before we go. Before we move on, I should say. You ready here? So question 3, let's make this even faster right now. Question 3, I just want you to solve for that angle right there. So just put a question mark so you're not doing the entire thing. Just that one right there. Go to 23. Oh, sorry. Question 2. Question 2, you're with me? Just a question mark right there. I just want to know what that side length is there. Keep going. Question 6. On page 24. I want you to tell me. This one I'm going to make you work a little bit more. Okay, I want you to tell me what this side length is. So you may have to do a little bit of extra work before you get to that side length. It's just finding another angle. You've got 2. And question 7, I want you to find me this angle right there. So 4 questions, 4 question marks. If you want to do 9 and 10 on the back, you go for it. And if you've done all of that, you deserve a break. But if you don't want a break, keep working through the booklet, okay? if you don't feel like having a break. But those are the four, okay? So question 6, I want you to figure out that question mark on page 24. Question 7, I want you to figure out that question mark, that angle right there. Question 2, side AC. And question 3, angle A. Right? Got it? We'll pause it here. You go check the answers, right? I'm just going to throw the, I don't know where else to throw this one in. But how many cases can sine law deal with? I don't know if you remember, this is on page 4. You don't have to really memorize this, but the fact that it can deal with 3 cases, what about cosine law? How many cases can it deal with? Only can deal with 2, right? 2 cases? So which one do you think is going to be slightly more popular in life? Sine law. Slightly. Historically speaking, they put one cosine law and one sine law on the exam. They make one question be sine law, one cosine law. I'm not going to say it's always going to be like that, but that seems to be what they're trying to do. The test will have lots of both. The only triangle we cannot solve is one that's angle, angle, angle. If you ever get one that's angle, 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 like all 3 angles, we can't solve that one. We need at least one side, and then you can mix it all up with the other ones, okay? So angle, 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 unsolvable. We cannot do it. We cannot do it. I might put it in, yeah. Can you solve an angle, angle, angle? And then you might say, yeah, you should. Try sine law. Wrong answer. Cosine law. Wrong answer. Can't solve it? Perfect. Okay. Sorry to cut you off. I know I'm cutting some of you off. But I want you to now deal with word problems a little bit more. Not because it's going to be a word problem. Let's go to 27. 27. Read it. Usually, they've told us that there's going to be a diagram. But sometimes, students read the question on the exam, and they were kind of like thrown off by the wording. And they're like, Mr. Dirksen, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, I just tell my students, look at the diagram. At the end of the day, look at the diagram. That trumps everything else. Okay? So in this case, they're asking us for the cable. So there's 2 cables here supporting this tower. You gotta do something with it to figure this one out. And it's not just gonna be one step. Okay? I'd love to dive right in, but I'm gonna ask you to look at it and see what can you do in order to solve for this side. Let's call this side X, okay? You might have to do something else before you tackle side X. Do you have the angle across from side X? It's hard to see, but this side is across this angle right here. We don't have it, right? That's a problem. So you need to first figure that out. So I'm going to let you just tackle this a little bit on your own. Lots of space here to do the work. Put letters in if you're solving for a certain angle or whatever. Put some letters in there. And once you've read it and tried it, then I'm going to come in and solve that one with you. And then we're going to talk about other aspects in this unit that will show up, okay? 27. This is on page 27. Okay, so make sure you have this in your notes. This is a multi-step. I'll put that on top here. It's a multi-step question. Okay? And what do you do when you have a multi-step? At first you're like, I can't do it, I can't do it. Do what you can at first. Okay? Do what you can at first. And so this angle right here, this 10, is across from this side right here. So you have a pair. Okay, I know it's hard to see, but you do have a pair, so we're going to use sine law. You have to use sine law. So let's start with that. So sine of 10 over 1.25. And what else can we do? We notice that this side right here, this side length on the outside, is across from this angle here. Okay, so we're going to call this whatever, angle A is fine. So we're going to go sine of A over 3.7. Think about it this way. Cosine law. We don't have all three sides. Can't use cosine law, right? Do we have side angle side? We don't. We don't have, if we knew this side, then we'd have side angle side sandwiched in between, cosine law. But it's not. So maybe that's what you need to do sometimes to rule out, I can't use cosine law. If it's hard to see the pair, at least rule out cosine law, because that is fairly doable. Okay? Now it's just cross multiply and divide. So sine of A is equal to 3.7 times sine of 10 degrees. They're also big fans of small angles, okay, on the province, like sine of 3, sine of 4, and they will try to make it look realistic, because remember, a small number is a small angle, right? It's like a sliver. So don't let that throw you off. You know how to do this. Just believe in yourselves, okay? So when you do this, you get 0.513, and it keeps going, okay? So here we are ready to do inverse. Angle A is 30.93 if you round it to 2 decimals. You would already, on the test, you would score 2 marks here already. You use sine law, you set it up, right? So this is definitely worth marks. Then I'm going to figure out this angle here. What should we call it? Maybe angle B, right? Do not use SOHCAHTOA. I know sometimes we're stuck and we go back to the good old days, grade 10 and 11, right? And it's like, oh, there's a 90 here. Let's try something. Don't do it. They will make it so that it doesn't work, okay? So sure, there could be a 90 there, but it doesn't mean anything to us right now because we don't know any other angles, right? So keep that in mind. B is 180. As soon as you have a triangle, right, you take away the 10, this one, and you take away the one you just found, and lo and behold, you get an obtuse angle there, which is 139.07 degrees. Also very important. That is usually a mark in the province. It's just because you understand the concept, not because I don't think it's worth a mark in terms of work, but it is important. So this is like a category. I call that, in short, sum of a triangle. That's what I've used there. And now that you know that one is gold, right? 139.07. You can use that angle to solve for that longest side that's across from it. Okay. Am I going to have enough space there? Let's see. I'm going to use sine law again. So sine of 10 over 1.25. And then I'm going to use this angle right now, 139.07 over x. I call that x, right? So you cross multiply and you divide. 139. So these are, this one is a bit of a tricky one because it just looks weird. But trust me, just apply what you know. Okay, I'll say this. When you do sine law, if you pair things up, they should never be touching each other on the diagram. So if 10 is touching 1.25 on the diagram, they're not across from each other. They're not a pair you can use. Okay, you get 4.72 meters. Got it? You can do it, guys. I know it's a little overwhelming. It's Monday. It was a long weekend. Don't worry about it too much. Just these are rare that it's that many steps on an exam, but on the test you can expect something like this every once in a while. All right, let's go and talk about, I'm going to skip the height part So we're going to go to 32. My computer is very